Hello again, welcome back to another edition of Ask GCN Anything.
This week, power meter or lightweight wheels, how far can I lean on my tyres, and what is a good warm-up?
Yes, all those questions coming up. Don't forget that this show is all about us answering your cycling related questions. A few ways to ask them. You can leave them in the comment section down below. You can use the hashtag TalkBack over on social media. Or if you'd like to be in with a chance of winning a free 3-month subscription to Zwift, the hashtag is Ask GCN Training. Right, first question this week relates to grip. Came in from Dan Whittington. I do a lot of commute riding, typically 100 miles a week using standard road bike tyres, 25mm tyres, and I ride at different times in all conditions. My question is, what's the best way of exploring the limits of tyre grip and lean angle? It hasn't happened yet, but if I needed to take evasive action, I don't know how extreme my manoeuvre could be. But at the same time, I don't want to stack it trying to find out. And no, you don't, do you?
And we don't want you to either. Well, it's one of my favourite questions because I loved playing around on my bike when I was a rider. And the simple answer is actually to find the limit, you have to go right over them. But as we said before, we really don't recommend that because you're just going to get hurt.
It's painful. I mean, I came off a lot. You were just saying that you haven't come off that much as a pro.
No, but I did fall off enough to know where the limit was and to know that I shouldn't exceed that limit.
Well, I did, and I kept coming off still. So I think it just shows I've got no brains, basically. But as Chris said, in order to find where the limits are, you've got to go over them. That's why I've got so much respect for MotoGP riders, because every corner on every lap they've got to be at the limit in order to try and win the race.
Yeah.
In cycling, it's not dissimilar when you're doing a crit. It's all about the cornering, isn't it? And I think it's just really through experience and knowing the conditions, knowing your own bike, knowing the tyres. You will, if you push it, eventually come off, and that is where you know you've gone over the limit, of course. It's different off-road to on-road as well, because I came from a mountain bike background, and when you're going around a mountain bike corner, if you lose grip slightly and your wheels start to drift, often you can get that grip back and keep it upright. On the road, once you start to slide, you're normally off.
Yeah, but I think it's because you've got so much grip on the road. As soon as you overstep that mark, it's just gone. You've lost it at such a speed that you're going to fall off. I've been having a little think the last couple of days though, because the other day I got given some brand new tyres. I didn't put them on my bike and I didn't check the pressure, which I probably should have. Anyway, I rode them on Monday and I rode them again yesterday, and riding them yesterday, I had 45 psi in the tyres. The day before was 70, or Monday was 70, and they felt so much better at 45 because I could feel what was going on in the road a little bit more, and I felt like I had more time to react. Once I could feel it slipping, it was an icy day.
Yeah.
So you've got to get in touch with how it feels.
I've got a mechanic to put my tyres on for me. I didn't check the pressure.
Thanks, dear.
Anyway, what we could recommend is if you want to practice, to use the same corner over and over again. That will give you a sense of what your tyres and your bike are going to feel like at different speeds. But if you do push it, you are going to come off, unfortunately. Somebody who did come off was Hank. In fact, it wasn't Hank, it was a stuntman, and we should reveal that already because he didn't really push the limits of grip, he just came off his bike. But hopefully you'll find the next video about cornering reasonably interesting.
So when you turn a corner, you generate a centripetal force. That's the same force that you'd feel if you were to swing a weight on a string, except in this case, there isn't a string pulling James around the corner, of course. The centripetal force is actually generated by the grip of his tyres and him steering around the corner. Now, to counter the apparent centrifugal force, effectively pushing James out, he's having to lean the bike over. The faster he goes, the greater the force and the more he's got to lean the bike.
Question number 2 this week is the winner of 3 months free subscription to Zwift. So congratulations to Andy Vandy516 who left this question for us last week. Could y'all do something on warming up? I think I'm picking up that it varies based on the kind of ride, but a few examples for endurance, intervals, TT or race days would be super helpful. Thank you very much.
Well, nice. And we can and we will do something to address this because coming up soon on the channel, it's already been recorded, is the perfect warm-up in my mind. It's like a nice progressive ramp that takes you right up to pretty much max intensity for a very short period, which will leave you ready for your event.
And it is short, it's 20 minutes long, isn't it? And I think that's crucial. That's how warm-ups have changed over the course of the last few years. 20 years ago, you'd get people warming up for a time trial for about an hour, wouldn't you? Especially in the middle of a Grand Tour, for example. The science has changed vastly on that. And I was just recounting a story to Chris, actually, of the 2011 Tour of Qatar. There, we had a coach on the team called Mark Quad, who just coached Jack Bobridge to the World Individual Pursuit record, which nobody ever thought would be broken. And the warm-up that he gave me was only 15 minutes long, short warm-up of 5 minutes easy, and then a load of intervals. And I actually stopped right at the end of the last really hard interval because he said that leaving a certain amount of lactic acid in your legs just before the start, for a really short prologue like that was, 3 minutes long, is actually quite beneficial. And I don't know if it was psychological, but I felt really good during that prologue. So.
And we've just looked at your results, and in fact, you went really quite well. You beat
for me, yeah,
Bradley Wiggins.
Yeah, I mean, he had a real off day, but I was just one in front of him. Well, I'll take that.
You can reduce the warm-up that I've put up on YouTube by pressing the settings button and watching it at 1.5 times the speed. So if you haven't got as much time, that's quite a good way of getting through it quicker.
Of course, with warm-ups, it's easiest to do them on a home trainer of some sort, even if it isn't actually indoors and next to the start of the event that you're doing. I don't think the differences between different events are huge, really, are they? I think with warm-ups, shorter is generally better in many ways. It doesn't take that long to get your body going and to get your muscles warmed up. Start doing half an hour to an hour, and you're actually just going to start eating into your energy reserves.
Yeah, it's also mentally less stressful because you're less worried about the time or how much time do I have to be on the turbo trainer before I get off. And of course, you can do them on the road, though, can't you? You don't have to do it on an indoor trainer.
No, you don't have to. No, it's just a bit more clinical, isn't it? If you want to make sure that you're going to finish your warm-up at just the right point before you start your time trial or road race or whatever it might be. It's an interesting one, though, and I'm looking forward to watching that video myself. Wow. Don't forget, if you want to be in with a chance of winning this Zwift subscription, there's one going each and every week. The hashtag for that is Ask GCN Training.
Next up is Mark Munro. Good afternoon, lads. I'd like to know if there is a correlation between a heavy road bike and needing lighter gears to ride it and a super light hill climbing bike. Do you need the 32 to cycle a bike 8 kilograms lighter up the same hill? Many thanks, Mark.
The short answer is sort of yes, really, isn't it? If you keep the same power and you add weight on your bike or on your body, you're going to go slower, and therefore to ride at the same cadence, you're going to need larger gearing at the back or smaller gearing at the front. There's no getting around that, really. The super lightweight climbing bike, if it is 8 kilos lighter, you are basically going to go faster on it, aren't you? You're not necessarily going to put out any more power through having a heavier bike. People often ask that question if they're going to get more out of their training by having a heavy winter bike. The power you do is the power you do, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it is amazing how much difference weight does make to the speed that you go up a climb. A couple of years ago, when we were in Andorra, we did an experiment with a backpack on. You're going to see the video in a minute, but it made about a minute's difference over the course of 15.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
It is, yes. If you'd like to watch that video, it's coming up for you right now.
My Canyon Ultimate, complete with full bottle, power meter, etc., comes in at 8.1 kilograms. My bag weighs 5.135 and I, including all my kit, come in at 74.4. That's a grand total for me on run 1 of 87.635.
Our next question comes in from Quack. My favourite beer. Well, actually, my second favourite. I said my favourite is Omer, didn't I, before Christmas?
You did, yeah.
Anyway, we'll get on with the question.
It's got the best glass.
How do pros manage to ride 5+ hours without stretching knees and ankles, etc.? I don't have clipless pedals and I need to regularly stop and stretch. Precision, I do only uphill riding, no flat, for 5 hours. Not quite sure how you do that to start with, but I shall let Chris answer the point about stretching.
Yeah, well, the pros are conditioned to ride for that long. Like, they've done it, it's ingrained in them. They regularly train at 5-6 hours or more. So they don't need that stopping and stretching because their bodies are used to it, basically, is the answer. But if you do stop regularly and stretch on your ride, you'll probably find that incrementally you can increase the gaps between the stops and your fitness will build that way and you'll get used to it. If you're still having issues though, then I'd recommend probably getting a bike fit or having someone analyse what you're doing on the bike, because that isn't quite right, is it, Dan?
No, you shouldn't be having to stop every so often to stretch. Some pros do stretch whilst they're riding the bike, don't they? This is a story I think I've recounted before here on GCN, but I used to look at the pros when I was a youngster and think, that looks cool, I'm going to stretch my quads whilst I'm riding along.
I reckon I could do it on the stool now.
Yeah, like this. So I put my foot up on my saddle like that, and my hamstring cramped. So I never ever did it again because I only did it to look good and it actually affected my ride that day. We've just been discussing how flexible each other are, haven't we, Chris?
We have done.
Chris was religious in his stretching before and after riding, I understand. I wasn't. He can touch his palms on the floor without bending his legs or anything. You probably can't see that, but I can tell you that the thing he's doing underneath the table is actually putting his palms on the floor. I'm not too bad, actually. I've been doing yoga recently through Sufferfest, so I'm actually reasonably flexible at the moment.
Come on.
All right. Well, you won't be able to see this either, but Chris can talk you through what I'm doing. I'm straight legged, they're almost together.
Straight legs, long straight legs. Palms, they're pretty much on the floor. There's not a lot of difference
They're not far off. It's not bad for someone that's quickly approaching 40 years old. Anyway, we're digressing quite a lot once again on this question. We have got a video from many years ago with me and Si looking a lot younger, talking about how to get through a long bike ride. Hopefully the tips are still relevant. That video is coming up now.
Our first training tip is something which you might have heard us talking about before here on GCN, but we really do think that being consistent is absolutely key. Even if you don't have a load of time to ride, it's good to get in 4 to 5 rides per week. And even if they only total around about 5 hours, that's much better for you than one individual 5-hour ride at the weekend.
Quick fire round now. First question, James Brown. I need help. I'm doing the 20-minute high intensity interval training and fat burning video that you've got on GCN. I'm not using a road bike, I'm using an indoor spinning bike which doesn't have gears. It's got a handle that I can turn to make the resistance harder. What I want to know is when you go from effort 5 and up to 10, what should I select in terms of where I turn that handle to get the correct resistance level?
So you want to kind of relate this to your perceived exertion. So if 10 is literally you're having to sprint on that machine to keep the flywheel turning, then to get, well, you crank it up as far as you go, basically. You need to do it on feel, is what I'm trying to get at. It's quite a difficult question to answer without seeing the bike.
It is, and we get a lot of questions on effort levels from 1 to 10 that we use on GCN. They relate to the duration of the effort that we're prescribing. So an effort level of 10 on a 1-minute interval is going to be a different power to an effort level of 10 on a half-hour interval because they're completely different durations. But you just need to turn it up to where it feels about right for the duration that you're being asked to do.
Trial and error, and practice will make perfect. Right then, next up is Graham Crowther. Asking for a friend, obviously. If you are a really hairy person where shaving your legs could save you about 40 watts at 30 k's an hour, yes, they are that hairy, where would you suggest they stop? Keeping in mind that if they do stop where the shorts end, it may look like they still have shorts on. And let's face it, this may not be too appealing to their better half.
Or do you need to really shave your legs in the first place? I currently am not shaving my legs, Chris. I might well do for my final Sufferfest test in a few weeks' time to make me feel like more of a cyclist, but you'd actually really need to. If you must, I think our suggestion would be to go all the way.
Yeah, well, I couldn't not shave my legs, Dan.
Could you not?
Right, no, it's just, it would look weird, I think. I'm not a footballer.
No.
I would go all the way, yeah. Track cyclists even shave their hips.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I need to shave my hips. Mind you, I've taken skin off so much from those cornering fails that there isn't much even skin there, let alone hair. Too much information, I know. Right, next up, Peter Bowles. This summer I'm going to cycle from London to Istanbul, aiming to do about 100k a day for 5 or 6 days a week and carrying all of my equipment. How should I best prepare for back-to-back long days? Is it best to just get the miles in, or should I be doing something different?
Well, you've not mentioned how fast you want to do this, but I would aim to get used to doing back-to-back rides of long duration. So if you've got the weekends free, you want to do 2 rides of around 5 hours each. You want to build up to that, of course. You don't want to just throw yourself in at the deep end. And that's when you aim for. And being efficient on the bike and also on top of your fueling.
I think it's the back-to-back days that are the key thing here, isn't it? Even if you've only got a couple of hours, you go out and do something intense for 2 hours for 3 days in a row. That's going to give you way more benefit than going out for one long 6-hour ride at the weekend because it stresses your body that bit more and gets you used to riding on back-to-back days, which is what you're preparing to do.
Yep. Good luck.
Right. Next question, Vincent Uteved. What to invest in when you're going to do lots of climbing in the mountains? Lightweight wheel set or power meter? That's a blooming good question, that.
Yeah, it is. And I would go, for long-term benefits, I'd go for a power meter.
Yeah, me too.
Because over a period of time, whilst it won't instantly make you faster on that first day, you'll learn more about yourself as a rider, you'll be able to pace the climbs better, and you'll get fitter with it.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly agree. You need to put the time and invest the time into learning how to use one, which you can do for free online, but if you do learn how to use it properly, you'll gain way more benefit than losing a kilo or 2 from your bike, won't you?
And then you'll be able to buy the wheels afterwards.
Penultimate question now, and it comes in from Michael Arroyo. I'm a diabetic and I have been for quite a while. I love my cycling and I was wondering if there are any riders in Grand Tours or pro teams that are or have diabetic riders, and if so, how do they manage their diabetes? Examples with their training, racing, food and recovery.
Well, there are riders, and Team Novo Nordisk is made up entirely of riders that have diabetes, and the way that they monitor and stay on top of their condition is close and careful monitoring. So they'll build up the experience that they need to get them through each and every race day of the year. But even then, you'll still get curveballs. You know, things like nerves can really alter your blood sugar levels before an event, and it's a very individual condition that everyone has to adapt to themselves.
Yeah, I think every athlete pretty much manages their diet quite closely, but they just have to make triply sure that they are really on top of all of their nutrition before, during, after, and during the night even as well. So yeah, as Chris said, there is an entire team of riders that have diabetes, and I have to say I've spoken to a few of them, and they're doing very well in the races as well.
Yeah, they're good.
Last question today comes in from Matt Litwin.
Hey GCN team, I've just planned a trip to Belgium and will be visiting Brussels, Ghent and Brugge. I have been given permission for 1 day of riding and was wondering if you had an afternoon to do a single epic ride, what route would you take? Also, any cool cafe stops or bars, Dan, here's looking at you, that you'd suggest visiting would be great.
You're going to have a great time, Matt. It's an amazing place in Belgium, and I'm glad that you've got permission to do at least one ride. Loads of the climbs are condensed into one place near Oudenaarde, basically, aren't there? There's a couple of anomalies, like the Muur van Gerardsbergen is a bit further out, but you can do things like the Quaremont, the Koppenberg, the Pattenberg, and a whole host of other cobbled climbs, all within about 15 kilometres of the same place. And that place, Oudenaarde, has also got the Flanders Museum. Inside that is a bar. There's loads of bars in Oudenaarde as well. But if I could recommend one bar only in Ghent that you're visiting, it's called the Beer House, conveniently.
Nice.
It's easy to find, and it's a really small, neat little place with a great selection of Belgian beer. So I absolutely love it there.
I want to go on this trip, Dan.
I do as well. In fact, I am going to Belgium in a few weeks' time for the Tour of Flanders, so I can't wait to go back. I love the place.
Yeah, no, it's special, especially at that time of year.
Yeah, really good. The atmosphere is amazing around the bike races. Right, that's all for this week. Apologies if we haven't answered your question so far, but make sure you keep trying. The hashtag is talkback on social media. You can leave your questions in the comment section down below, or to be in with a chance of winning the Zwift subscription, it's hashtag Ask GCN Training.
That's it for this week, and if you're looking for one more video, why not check out Hank or James's Meet the Presenter just down there.
Yeah, Chris is coming soon. Tomorrow, in fact, if you're watching this on Friday.